So, two words you're going to hear a whole lot of in college algebra is domain and range. And so when we're looking at relations, another way of describing these input values is to call them domain. That is the domain of this relation, and this is the range of the relation. But domain is the inputs. Now, inputs can be looked at individually. There is an input of 2, there's an input of 3 and 5 and 9. We can look at those individually. Domain is a holistic view. Domain we could define as all of the x values or all of the inputs, but it's referring to the collection of all of them. And so if you were asked for the domain of this relation up above, the answer, the list you would look at, would be 2 and 3 and 5 and 9. That is the list. That is the entirety of the x values, the inputs. It is the collection. So this in its entirety is the domain of that relation. Range has a similar value. It is the collection. It is the collection of range values. Collection of range values of a relation. Now, similarly, when we talk about them as outputs or y values, we can look at them individually. But range is collective. It is the collection of all of the y values, all of the outputs used in this relation. So something like this. Now, I will say that typically they're written in numerical order. They don't have to be, but they are, so I probably should have written this -15 first. Just be aware, though, that domain and range is when we're looking holistically at a relation, and domain being all of the inputs, all of the x values, range being all of the outputs or all of the y values. And you'll be expected to discuss what are all of them. And this idea of all of them changes depending on the depth and complexity of the relation. And as we'll see in the subsequent videos, that becomes a lot more intensive, a lot more thoughtful when we identify the domain and range, or the collection of all the inputs and outputs.